Hey folks, so I want to start off today's video with something a little bit different. I want to take a look at the schedules for Michigan State and Ohio State. And I also have in front of me the top 25 college football teams as ranked on today's date, which is September 26th, 2015. Looking at their schedules, Michigan State and Ohio State will, as of right now, barring any other changes, play only 2 ranked teams all year. They each open against Oregon and Virginia Tech respectively, and then they play each other on the 21st. Michigan, on the other hand, plays 5 ranked teams. Opened up against Utah, which was a loss. Played BYU today. Then in 2 weeks we have Northwestern, which I still don't understand how they're ranked. Week after that we have Michigan State, and of course, last game of the season we have Ohio State. So I was really nervous going into this week because, you know, BYU is not a terrible team. They're a decent team. Had some good wins the first couple of weeks. Their backup QB, Tanner Magnum, just became known for Hail Marys. Almost pulled off an upset over UCLA, which isn't looking that bad. So I knew that this game would be a good idea to see where this team measured up after 4 weeks of non-conference play. Of course, going into the Big Ten play 3-1 would be a big boost into the team's momentum and confidence. So throughout this week, I'm checking the line for the game, and I saw Michigan was favored by about a touchdown all week. I was kind of bewildered. I wasn't really complaining, but I was bewildered because I'm like, well, I mean, we look good in those against Oregon State and UNLV, but those are like scrub teams. So, you know, I don't know how we'll translate it, but I figured that this game would really just kind of tell us how this team is going to be for the rest of the year. Well, safe to say Vegas knew something that I didn't, and honestly I think we're going to be okay. Because Michigan absolutely stomped on BYU. Just beat them down. I mean, you know, I don't know what I can say. It was an absolutely gorgeous day today in Ann Arbor. Perfect football weather. Lot of great people in attendance. We had some big-time recruits, including Rashawn Gary, #1 recruit in 2016 class. Derek Jeter was here. It's one of the only 2 times, I think, that I've ever applauded for Derek Jeter. The 81 Rose Bowl team was here as well. Just a great, great day, and everything that could have gone right for Michigan pretty much went right. Yeah, you know what, this was like the UNLV recap, and that it's not that, you know, a football game was played and apparently because the other team scored. It's like a football game was played and Michigan just absolutely dominated the other team on the field. BYU was held to 105 yards total offense, and like 11 of those yards came on the last play. So that's shows you what's going on right there. They went 3 and out. I don't really know how many times it was just on a box score. Right here, BYU punted. The punting for BYU, Johnny Lynham, punted 11 times throughout the game, as opposed to Blake O'Neal, who only punted 4 times. I think 3 of those came in the second half. Number of first downs BYU had, I know they had 4 in the first quarter, and then the rest of the game, I think it was 3. I'm sure it was 2, because I saw those 2, and I had the BYU section just waving these tiny flags behind me, but I can't remember the third one. It was just complete and total domination. Rudock looked absolutely great today. He went 14 of 25 for 194 yards, averaging 7.8 yards pass for a touchdown. Also had a couple of rush touchdowns as well. He was doing his best Bernard Robinson impression, I guess. As opposed to Tanner Magnum, only went 12 of 28 for 55 yards, averaging 2 yards a play. And I think, honestly, their best field position in the entire game was about the 40-yard line of Michigan. I mean, it was just, the defense just absolutely shut them down. Jabril Peppers made some great tackles in space, as well as blocking the returns. By the way, Peppers did try to do some punt returns here. He had 4 returns for 20 yards, averaging 5 yards a return. His longest one was 11. And by the way, you can tell that he is getting frustrated with himself for not being able to just break one out and take one back to the house for a touchdown. So it shows you he's dedicated to actually improving his game. That's a good sign. That's good. That's good. let's see what else here. I know some people might feel a bit let down that Michigan's 31 points all came in the first half and nothing really happened much for the second half, but I got kind of the same feelings did for BYU and Oregon State and UNLV, which at the second half, the game was just so out of reach, and this offense, the other team was clearly not getting anywhere close to the end zone. The second half just kind of became like a glorified practice when Harbaugh's like, okay, let's just, let's have Rudock work some more on the deep balls. Let's give some other running backs a chance. Heck, at one point Blake O'Neal tried to punt fake on a 4th and 16, probably just because he could. I mean, Harbaugh was yelling at him afterwards, but I'm not sure that's because he tried it or because it didn't work out right. I mean, I don't know. It's one of those things. Rushing game was really good today. I mean, Michigan had, I don't have the actual numbers here in front of me unless I can find them, but I think Michigan had over 200 yards of rushing on this one, which was just really, really spectacular. Davion Smith didn't really have that good of a game last time, but he absolutely had a dominant performance today. He had 16 carries for 125 yards, 7.8 yards a carry, including a 60-yard rushing touchdown, which has to be on the SportsCenter top 10. I was watching, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. He basically ran into the pile of the BYU defenders, somehow, some way, phased, he didn't even break a tackle or dodge anything, he just phased through the pile like a freaking ghost, and just runs down the field with this one poor BYU defender hanging out for dear life, and just, oh my god, it was absolutely just great. Davion Smith had a really awesome game. That was really great to see from him. He did leave the game in the third quarter with an apparent ankle injury. It looked pretty serious from what I saw, but he was put in a walking boot afterwards, but word from him is that he's fine. It's a precautionary measure, so I wouldn't worry too much about it. But I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't start against Maryland, but it's Maryland, so he gets to get Ty Isaac and some more shots. Isaac had a couple carries as well. He had 2 carries for 9 yards. Drake Johnson had 5 carries for 26. Derek Green had 10 carries for 28 yards. He only averaged 2.8 yards a carry, and his long was 6, but it's nice to see him getting some snaps in there. Receiving, good as well. Jake Butt only had 1 reception, but it was targeted a bit more. Again, I think this is deliberately on the design of Harbaugh because he knows that Butt's going to catch almost anything that's thrown to him. So he wants to get Rudock more used to passing to the wide receivers and other tight ends and to kind of work out the offense. And Rudock passed to, I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 players today. 9 players that had reception yards today. So he's definitely spreading the ball on offense. And he's probably going to save the Jake Butt passing for when we're looking at a really, we really need to bring our A game against a team like, the Michigan States or Ohio States of the world. Darboh led the charge with 4 receptions for 57 yards and a touchdown. By the way, Darboh became an American citizen officially on Wednesday, so to see him get a touchdown in this game was pretty cool. It was also cool for him to see him make a Charles Woodson-esque one-handed grab at one point for like a 20-yard reception. That was just spectacular. I mean, like, wow. I know it's like everyone's comparing him to some NFL player. I can't remember. It's like, no, that's Charles Woodson. Granted it wasn't a defensive pick, but still, one-handed interception. Come on, reception rather. But yeah. Again, not much I can really say about this. It was a really dominant win by the team. They did what they were supposed to do. They had to make a statement win, and they certainly made one. I would be very surprised if Michigan was not top 25 by this time next week. And I think they made a statement to the Big Ten as well, possibly to the rest of college football, that this is not the same Michigan team of the last few years. This is a very different team. This is a very hungry team. This is a very dominant team, and you better not sleep on them, otherwise they will knock your lights out. And that's what happened to BYU here today. I don't know how many of those BYU fans that were sitting behind me came in expecting a win. I'm sure everyone in the stand was expecting a reasonably close and competitive game. I don't think anyone expected this. So to have this team just come out like this and give us such a dominant performance is absolutely great. Just fantastic. Okay, so now we enter into conference play. The Big Ten, once again, looks very, very winnable. Right now, it's mainly just Michigan State and Ohio State at the top of the pack, followed by, I guess, Northwestern. I don't know. I'm still not buying Northwestern. And then it just kind of goes down from here. Looking at Michigan's schedule right now, the only two games I really worry about are Northwestern and Minnesota, because Northwestern looks decent. Minnesota's a road game, so that could be a little tricky. We're also playing on the road against Indiana, but I'm not sold on Indiana by any means. I mean, I know that they're trying to get game day to come to Indiana. I don't know. It's just, I'm not sold at all. I mean, I don't even think Indiana's ranked, to be quite honest with you. Let's take a look here at the top 25. And I'm right. They are not ranked. Right now, the Big Ten teams right now in the top 25 are Ohio State and Michigan State at 2. And then it's Northwestern at 17. So, yeah. But yeah, I can totally see us. We're getting a win at Maryland next week. Then, Rutgers. We should probably put the second string team on the field for Rutgers. That might make it a bit more sporting. Indiana could be interesting. Penn State could be interesting, but I'm not really anticipating trouble with those. So, but yeah, I mean, right now, my goal of 8 wins looks very much doable. And more importantly, we're already halfway to bowl eligibility. And if I recall correctly, we didn't reach this point last year until midway through conference play, maybe. So, yeah, improvement. But, yeah, next week against Maryland, I don't really see them being much of a hassle. I mean, I guess they got some playmakers on the team, but, you know, just based on what I'm seeing right now from this defense, it's just absolutely just playing lights out. The offense is finally starting to gel, finally starting to click. I mean, Rudolph's getting a little bit more comfortable with his receivers. The rushing game has finally returned after a lengthy absence. May it never leave us again. And that's pretty much all I'll say about that. So, yeah, great win today. Great performance. Michigan is taking another big step, getting back to where it should be. And now on to the Big Ten. So, see you next week, and go Blue.